Yes, I'm going to talk today about innovation, open innovation, and especially about the creative economies and how creative individuals can be integrated into new product development. So my first career step was in an insurance, actually. Then I worked a couple of years for Audi in the R&D department, but then the vision was to serve and invent products that people really love and like for all the big companies and all the big brands. And the vision was to, really to bridge the huge gap between the consumer and the big brands, because there is a huge gap, especially in the R&D process and in the innovation process. And there the creative economies come into play, that they are then used to create successful products. But first of all, what we are observing during the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years is a new phenomenon. It's the phenomenon of the new openness. And I want to give you a couple of examples. In business, everything is opening. And we have a business concept called open innovation since 2003. And really the big inventions come also from open innovation. The open source development, such software such as Linux or Apache or GNU license and so on. This is all developments of an open source movement. We have companies like Procter & Gamble, who have their Connect and Development program. They are integrating the consumer in order to produce their new innovations. We have BMW with their co-creation lab, who are also inviting people from outside the company for their innovation process. We have big platforms such as 9 Sigma or Innocentive. There are more than 300,000 engineers and chemical experts. They are all pooled on these platforms. And no matter what company has a challenge, they can post it on the platform, and it's going to be solved of the 300,000 engineers or chemical experts. But we also have a new openness in government. For example, the Bavarian institution or the Bavarian governmental program is developed together with citizens. If you look at Texas, for example, you can be yourself, if you want, a Texas virtual sheriff. So they have the fences to Mexico, and 24/7 there's a video streams on the fences, and you can stream it to your home PC and can look at the fence. And if you see some illegal immigrant, you immediately can call the police there. And so you're the virtual Texas sheriff. Or we have in Germany alone nearly 400 local budgets where citizens can then give their agreement to where the budget is allocated. And the number is rising for these local budgets. And in the States, for example, the patent offices, they're quite overloaded. So what they did is they published all patents, and everybody can have a look on it and to see if they are of prior art or have the technological standards. So this is opened up. So information which was always closed is now open up, also in government. Healthcare. We have huge platforms like health boards with a couple of 100,000 people talking about their diseases, diagnosis, therapy, and so on. So this is really a shock for all the doctors, because they say, oh my God, they're talking about what diagnosis is, it's not really true, and so on. But these are a couple of 100,000 people. And there's also a spin-off from the MIT, for example. It's called Patients Like Me. Patients are there to publish their health files in order to offer it to other people. Nothing about data protection. They just say, if I have a history with my disease, I want to help everybody else who has the same disease. And it's like a big, huge clinical trial, which is public. Other platforms, they allow people with rare diseases to connect. Again, we have this phenomenon of openness. So your disease, your health files, everything is opened up and can help others to fight their diseases. Open society, we have huge platforms where you can donate money to certain projects. We have travel to change is another example. It's how you can combine your trip to wherever you are going with some meaning. For example, you go to Hawaii, there you can clean up the beaches together with other community members of Travel to Change and help the community there if you're going there. Again, this is an opening up of social engagement and the society as its own. We observe the same phenomenon in education. We have new platforms like Academic Earth, Udacity, Coursera. So all the courses, all the lectures from the best universities, MIT, Harvard, Yale, you name it, they are on these platforms. And you can see the best professors giving the lectures, and it's totally democratized. So you can access these lectures from all over the world. Again, and additionally, the results of science work are presented there. So it's a really democratization of knowledge in these cases. So we have this new openness, not only in business, but also in governmental things, in open education, in science, in social engagement, in healthcare, and in tourism. And you always have different sets of people, like consumers, citizens, students, family, patients, and so on. And all these stakeholders are more and more involved in the value chain. I want to give you one example where this also happened for a huge corporation. You may know them, Bombardier. They make trains and aeroplanes. They also had a platform, and they invited everybody from outside the company to help them to design new trains, the new interior of trains. So they have this platform. They said, please submit your design, evaluate the designs of the other guys who have submitted. And within 8 weeks, they had 2,000 members on this platform. And they had more than 5,000 designs and nearly 500 free designs. So people not belonging to Bombardier do innovation work, creativity work, and post it on the platform. And these are a couple of the guys who posted their ideas and innovations on the platform. And this is one of them. So they are really elaborated designs. They're all done in CAD or design tools, and they design trains for Bombardier. So I could go on with hundreds of these designs, but you see they're well designed, they're elaborately written concept, and one design is from Annie Pham. She designed a first-class coach. Alone on this design were 60,000 visitors. Another luxury interior was designed by Virogone, and he had 800 page views on this design. And the winner of the prize on the platform was this guy. It's Yopo Design, and he invented a spiral train. And on the platform, the people spent within 8 weeks 454,000 minutes. These are more than 7,000 hours, or more than 4 man-years were spent within these 8 weeks from outside the company to design trains. So, and this is not a phenomenon only done by Bombardier. There are many, many companies who are now not really outsourcing, but they're asking people outside their companies, outside their R&D labs, in order to help them for the new products. And the price was not really big money or something like this. The price was more in the area of social recognition. So the prize winners were invited to the biggest fair in transportation, the InnoTrans, and to present their ideas. And also the CEO of the company then greeted them. And this is more the incentive for people right now to participate in such innovation platforms. And the participants came all over the world. So the designs really come from Canada up to Indonesia. And this is not only the case for this example. In most of these big innovation contests, the designs really come from all over the world. As I said, not only Bombardier is doing this. This is a widespread phenomenon. Siemens invited the creative people from outside Siemens to invent the new smart grid, meaning how to produce and transport and store energy. Daimler invited people from outside Daimler in order to design the new smart. BMW invited people from outside BMW to design the new trunk systems of their cars and to design new mobility services. Osram for designing new LED solutions, HYVE for designing apps, Lufthansa for designing new cargo solutions, and so on. So many and many more in the future of these big brands and companies are relying on creativity from outside the company. And this is the idea of open innovation and co-creating innovation with people not in their R&D departments. So this illustrations exactly represents this. You have the company on the upper part. Since now there was always a system of closed innovation. So a company is developing within their walls the invention or the product and then is launching the product. But they didn't ask really and integrated people and future consumers for the product development. So the result is that even right now, 70 to 80% of all the fast-moving consumer goods are failures because they do not integrate people in the development. And if you let an engineer develop a new car, I mean, you get a car like from HYVE with 1001 PS or horsepower. Who needs that, the question is. So many products are over-engineered and then not really the success. So the idea of open innovation and the new innovation models using digital platforms is to integrate consumers in all steps of the innovation process and new product development, in idea generating, in concept, in testing, in prototyping, and then in the end for the launch. So this is the change, and this is the idea of opening up the boundaries of a company and inviting creative people. So there are two directions for the creative economies or for creative people to get money out of their creativity. The first place is definitely to get closer to the big companies. And the second way is to get crowdfunded. So the first way is what I think is definitely the case, that creative economies are right now already quite anchored in the new business concepts. So we have in the late 90s the business concept of open source. We have a creative economy in the early 2000s. We have the concept of open innovation in 2003. We have the business concept of co-creation in 2004. We have crowdsourcing in 2006. And these are the major business concepts in business administration right now. And they all have in common that the knowledge and the skills and that the consumers, the informed network consumers and empowered consumers are at the heart of these concepts. And these are really the main concepts in business administration right now. But for sure there are certain problems which are not solved yet. One is, for example, the organizational challenge. So if you think of a really big company like Unilever, now they have the chance to talk to individuals, creative individuals, and they do not really have the organizational structures to do this. Because right now, in the end, only the public relations department can talk to the outside world. The idea of open innovation is that every engineer and every developer in this company can exchange with consumers. So this has to be solved, that there's a sort of absorptive capacity or a channel within the company to all these creative individuals. So this is challenge number one. Second challenge is still that companies believe that they can steal ideas from individuals. So this is not really a legal problem. In first place, it's a cultural problem. So they can talk to individuals on an eye level, and they have to integrate, and then they have to install an incentive structure. It's all about give and take. You give me great ideas, I make great products of it, but you have to have something from it. So it's to give something back to also individuals, not only other corporations. For sure, we also have the legal challenge. We have the copyright, which then you have the right for your ideas, for example. In the media business, we have the Creative Commons, which is a set of license agreements, and you can decide for your own if somebody else can use your pictures, for example, or your blog entries. And others are fully free. It's more or less an anarchy. And this is also a challenge for the legal departments to work. My best guess is for Creative Commons, also for ideas, concepts, and products and prototypes. And for sure, we have the challenges which are methodological, because we have all these new instruments for digging down the knowledge which exists in the internet, for example, social media monitoring, ethnography, and so on. And as I said, this would be to solve this challenge to get closer to the companies. But the second possibility is to get crowdfunded. So if you have a creative project, no matter what, you can get crowdfunded. One of the biggest crowdfunding platforms is Kickstarter. It's actually the world's largest funding platform. And exactly this week, they passed 1 billion pledges, which were then invested into creative projects. And 5 million people supported these projects from 224 countries overall. And more of these platforms are now emerging. We do not have only Kickstarter. We have many more of them. So if you multiply the Kickstarter volume, that's a real economic impact this can make. Thank you very much for listening to the Open Innovation World. Any questions?
Comments or questions? Yeah.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. We've seen from former presentations that like creative business and this kind of connected activities are taking a higher part, always a higher part in our society. But still, there is like difficulty for startup or young people to begin to start according to their country. For instance, I'm from France, and in France, it's really difficult for a startup to go up. So I was wondering if there any like, I don't know, canal or some way like firms try to speak to government or to country in order to help their young people to get into this kind of business, because it's like the heart of creativity today.
Yeah, there are more and more governmental projects which are supporting new startups, but in the end, startups get money from the investors or from the big companies, and they have many to choose from. So it's only 1 out of 1,000 or so can really make it. But the alternative definitely are these crowdfunding platforms, because you have not institutional investors then, these are private people. And if I like one project, I give money for it. And I'm not looking at the interest rate over the next years. So this is definitely a second track for getting invested for young startups.
I was not planning to intervene, but I heard the question, so I cannot resist the temptation. I partly raised this yesterday. I think one of the main things we all need to work a bit in Europe is to see how we could join efforts in order to amend the legislation we have about bankruptcy. The main reason is that in the United States, several startups fail before they succeed, and failure is accepted in the banking and finance and insurance business. So no one actually puts money in your business because they think you're going to succeed with the first go. This culture is absent in Europe. And talking about public projects that support innovation, i.e. injecting public money into research, I think in the years to come, it's going to be more and more difficult. And it's not always certain that a public injection of money necessarily leads to products that are successfully commercially. Because the criteria for these projects usually are of a different nature than a commercial application. So I think this is food for thought, and it's up to us to see how we can influence in this direction in the future. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Good afternoon. Oops.
On a question, please.
Okay. Separate topic. You mentioned this at the beginning and towards the end of your presentation. I really appreciated it. Talking about the example you provided about the train design competition and that the gratitude that was expressed to this really cool design was just standing on a platform and a handshake with the CEO. And you followed up with how a cultural change is needed in this environment if we're going to continue to open source. But I just wanted to know, what are your ideas for steps in changing this culture? Because that, quite frankly, would not be good enough for me.
Yeah, right now it's good enough because we are always asking the people why you participated and why you contributed. Right now the main motivation is the recognition of the peer group, that other designers say that's a great design, and it's curiosity. But this will not be enough for the next years because more and more companies come and they're offering these platforms, and I want to have another incentive, which definitely will be more in the monetary area, but then again has to be some sort of license fee or kickback if the product is successful. And this will be the way I would go to take the learnings from Creative Commons and apply them on real products, not only digital products, but real tangible products with a sort of license agreements where you can pick from and say, I want to have a license fee, I give it for free or whatever, but you have to choose for your own. So this would be the recommendation.